Bitcoin hovering around the $20,000 mark this morning, 2,500. A new survey finds that the crypto is more likely to hit $10,000, cutting its value roughly in half from where it is right now, rather than rallying back to 30 grand. Joining me now, Ava Labs president John Wu. John, where do you see Bitcoin headed?
Dagan, hope you had a great weekend. So we're not in the business of predicting the market prices, but if you look at Bitcoin as a proxy for the space, there really was two paradigms in terms of the sell-off in Bitcoin. First, when it was a 75 correlation to the S&P before May, and then May, the correlation has dropped to like 45, 0.45 of the S&P with idiosyncratic stuff. And a lot of the issues were actually, frankly, macro, and then other issues that came up were not just idiosyncratic to crypto. You know, unsecured lending, layering of leverage, lack of transparency. This kind of stuff existed in traditional finance. So at this point, I think the idiosyncratic stuff to crypto has actually played mostly out. Where it goes from here is literally where growth stocks, SaaS, internet companies, and where the draining of liquidity is going to take hold in terms of the macro.
Mike, get in here. Wasn't it supposed to be an inflation hedge? Wasn't that one of the pitches? And I keep hearing, oh, the crypto winter, as if it's just a season and then like in a few months it's going to de-thaw and blossom again, which is, well, nobody knows.
Well, you know, Dagan, I'd say it's not so much an inflation hedge, more a hedge against fiat currency. And so the Bitcoin, there will only be a finite amount created where money printing can just kind of continue for forever. And so that thesis remains very much intact, but the price is down dramatically. But it seems to me that in this quote unquote crypto winter, the adoption of Bitcoin for practical use, I'm not sure if it's slowed or we're just reading about it less. And maybe, John, you can opine about that.
Mike,
go ahead.
Thank you, Mike. The adoption has actually increased. So back to the first point, Dagan's point, Bitcoin was thought of as an inflation hedge. And you won't know that till the long term. In the last couple of years, the reality is a lot of overlap between traditional finance people got into Bitcoin. And Bitcoin suddenly has the same issues that if you have margin calls in traditional stocks, you have to sell what you have. So in the short term, it's become more correlated. But there's a whole nother world of cryptocurrencies where utility is happening. I mean, that is evidence. Like my calls as an operator have only increased for financial services and enterprises to figure out how to use blockchain and crypto to enable their businesses and do better jobs for their businesses and become more productive. You've got JP Morgan, a Monetary Authority of Singapore, as well as the DBS working on a way to tokenize wholesale lending for DeFi.
Right.
You have Citibank just introducing custody.
Before we go, though, John, crypto and Bitcoin were sold to a whole generation of investors as something that it turned out not to be. And currently, folks that are having their savings frozen in Voyager after the crypto lender filed for bankruptcy protection. And you have the Federal Reserve Chief, Lael Brainerd, saying that crypto regulation is needed on the industry before it comes a wider danger, and leave it up to regulators to be too late. But final word to you before we go.
That's a great point. I mean, the stuff that's happened is crypto 2.5, not Web 3.0. So it's the intermediaries that allow the enable on-ramp from traditional people, retail, into the crypto that are centralized entities that's created this. The DeFi organizations inside of crypto actually provided the function very well. And even the worst downturns of June, you have these lending protocols painfully lose assets, but they all function in a code-enabled way and never went down or blocked withdrawals.